Welcome to the show. Today's topic is behind the scenes, the social media platform we're doubling down on right now. And if you haven't guessed it already, that yes, indeed, it is podcasting and YouTube, more specifically, video podcasting. And we've got some very interesting statistics to share with you in the show because it's changed. Podcasting has changed since we started back in 2014. Video podcasting was definitely not a thing. And now people consume their media very much in video and audio format. People like to have the choice. James, what has been the shift in consumption habits? And you can share some stats with us as well.
Well, there's lots of shifts, but I think we're going to focus on why are we doing this? Like, why exactly are we doing podcasting and YouTube, for example? I think the first and most important thing is it's evergreen content, right? So when you post on social media platforms like TikTok, Facebook, all these things, it's seen today, gone in 20 minutes. It quite literally is that thing. Whereas we're finding we want to spend most of our time marketing because we're all busy trying to build a business and trying to train clients and do all these things you have to do as a fitness professional. But we want to make sure we focus on content that is consumable, useful, and can get found over and over again and be worthwhile for the people listening to it and enjoying it. Because I think there's so much content that's now created as entertainment purposes. Well, we're going to focus on how can we out-educate our marketing rivals and competitions. And that's why we're focusing and doubling down on the podcast, which ties into YouTube because it's these more organic, evergreen social media platforms. Wouldn't you agree, Andrew?
Wholeheartedly agree. I think this day and age, we all have to consider ourselves as being media content creators. And for us, the key ones to focus on are YouTube and podcasting. And so marrying the two makes a lot of sense.
And I think as well, so the other reason for this is that not many people are doing it, and we'll share some stats around this now, but also we enjoy it. Don't we, Josh? Like, it's one of those things where we really enjoy and we're passionate about. Now, we've changed the format. We can tell you why we've changed the format in a second too, but we've definitely doubled down on this podcasting because it's something that we enjoy doing. We don't enjoy doing the stuff that other people do all the time, and also we don't want to be seen as the same as everybody else. I think that's such an important factor.
Exactly. What did you say, Andrew? When everyone else is zagging, you've got to zig? Or the other way around?
Something along those lines. That's the one I tend to use. We've got to stand out. You know, I see myself as the black sheep of my family, and I wear that as a moniker. You know, I'm proud of that fact that I do things differently. That isn't always seen to be in line with the rest of the family traits.
So I think, well, before we go into some of the stats, this is what we're doing. This is our marketing plan. So again, we're sharing everything now behind the scenes, the journey of what we're doing and how we're trying to do it. Whether it works or not, we'll find out. Hopefully it will do. If it doesn't, we'll let you know so you don't do the same mistakes that we're making. That's the whole purpose of this. But what we're doing with the podcast now is we're going to more bite-sized episodes, ideally less than 10 minutes, and we're posting Monday through Friday daily because we want to make sure that the content we share is actionable, it's relevant and straight to the point because people don't have much attention span these days. That's kind of what we're trying to focus on, is that shorter bite-sized content with the occasional interview thrown in, such as Mike Boyle recently. We've got Tony Hollow from Feed the Cats coming on too. Things like this from great expert industry insights from people who can listen to those podcasts, who have the time. But it's the bite-sized content that we're focusing on because it captures their attention, but also if we're playing a bit of a game here too with the algorithm, it's if you listen to the podcast all the way through and listen to multiple podcasts, it signals to the podcast channels, this is a good podcast and ranks us high up the charts. Therefore, we get found easier and more likely these people are going to do business with us later down the line.
Yeah. So this is something we've got from the world of business and marketing, and we've had a look into the podcast world in health and fitness, and it's not really something that's been done in the health and fitness podcasting world. So we're trying to be different, right? We're trying to be a little bit different.
Absolutely. And it doesn't mean we're not going to try and do the other social media stuff later down the line, but we're doubling down on stuff that no one else is doing. Nobody else is doing this right now. And we're tying it into the video side of things because most people want to watch video when it comes to podcasting now, along with the audio channel too. So when they're out on the run, in the car, going for a walk, etc., etc. So, shall I share some stats?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So if you look onto the screen, for those who are watching on YouTube, by the way, this is a shameless plug to go and have a look at our YouTube channel right now. But if you look at this now, the first stat is this. There are nearly 2.5 million podcasts listed in Apple Podcasts, the biggest podcast network in the world, followed by Spotify, okay? So the data is much less compared to YouTube channels or blogs, hence the market is not as saturated, indeed the perfect place to build an audience. Yes, we've had a podcast for a long time, but we've realized we've probably made mistakes in the past and haven't been consistent enough, or the content has been too wishy-washy, so we're doubling down and making it specific now to our niche. So that's the first reason, right? No one else is on here, so we're going to this. Secondly, only 450,000 podcasts are active. This simply means that the chances of being found and making connections are high. You just need to be consistently active. This is, by the way, this is from neilschafer.com. We've always done all this wonderful article. So thank you, Neil Schafer. I've never met you before, but thank you for sharing these stats.
I find that one really interesting. The fact there are so many, 2.5 million podcasts, and yet only 450,000 are actually active. So your market is much smaller. Your competition is much smaller. What was the stat in 2018? There was like nearly 600,000 active. So now it's much less competition in 2023.
Exactly, because people have tried to focus on other media channels, but it's still a highly engaged content platform, particularly for people who are using it. So, okay, then let's look at some of the other stats as I scroll down the page. More than 71,000 episodes exist in the podcast feeds. Grace, podcasts available in over 100 languages. And then we talk about the demand perspective, right? Just in American terms, 62% of Americans aged 12 and over have listened to a podcast in 2022, up from 57% in 2021. So people are listening to it, right? Are they gaining traction due to value?
Where's that 82% statistic that we came across?
If we scroll down, there we go. More than 80% of podcast listeners, 82.4% to be exact, spend upwards of 7 hours in an average week listening to their favorite podcast listening app. Wow. Just wow.
Again, that I didn't expect that. 7 hours is a heck of a lot. So it just shows how much information you can get out there.
Yeah, for some, this is even more than time spent watching TV or browsing social media, right? They love listening to podcasts. And this is what we're trying to do. So right now, we're trying to hopefully you're one of the 7 hours of people, listening to content what we're trying to create each week, which would be ideal. It'll be a hell of a lot of podcasts in the 10-minute format. But we're trying to go after these people, the people who consume and want to learn more. So this is why we're targeting these, the podcasting network and YouTube the same way. So on average, only 8 different podcasts are listened to weekly. That's something else to think about. So between your show and other people, there's 7 other shows listened. So that's something interesting. And then what's interesting is 32% of podcast episodes are between 20 and 40 minutes long. I'd love to know how many are less than 10 minutes.
I think you'll find that there'll be significantly less than that 32% are less than 10 minutes. And I suppose there's going to be, well, we know from experience that a lot are over the hour mark. And at the end of the day, who has the time these days to sit and listen to something for over an hour?
Yeah, well, by the way, if you go to neilschafer.com/podcast-statistics, this is where you can see all the stats. But this is number 14. I love this one. 45% of podcast listeners have a household income over $250,000. On average, podcast listeners have a much higher income than the general population. If you're looking to reach a wealthy audience, then start a podcast. What are we trying to do with our coaching program?
That's specifically relevant for us, right, James?
Exactly. So like when we're on our coaching program at Strength Matters, we're looking for the high achievers, the high performance. We don't want to work with people who are fairly new to the industry because that's not what our passion is. It's not what our expertise is. We want to take them to a level of high achieving, high performance. That's where we want to focus on. Same with our Cricket Matters podcast, right? We're trying to aim for these people to pay for coaching with us to help improve their cricket game. So this is what we're trying to go for, guys. It's this higher intent audience. It pains me to say it, but a lot of the time on social media, you get bottom of the barrel. You get bottom of the barrel. So this is where we're trying to focus our content on. So the high achievers who listen to these podcasts, hopefully you guys as fitness owners and gym owners too, right? And personal trainers. We're trying to attract the higher caliber of trainer to listen to the show, to share what's working and what's working now and why we're doing it.
Absolutely. Andrew, anything you want to add in before we wrap this episode up today?
Just want to add that don't fear it. You've got your unique voice. You've got a message to relay to people, and well, we're testing this out. We fully believe that this is the best platform and the best approach to do that. So please model what we're doing, and let's all become successful together.
Absolutely. Let's all hope it works. Andrew, because before we wrap up, you're new to podcasting. Obviously, how are you finding it so far?
Love it. Well, Sheena, my partner, says I love to talk, so it's a perfect medium for me.
Absolutely.
On that note, I think one of the other stats on here now is that 74% of people go to a podcast to learn something new. So what we're doing in terms behind the scenes of our marketing strategy is we're doubling down on podcasting and putting it into YouTube first. And then our next level strategy is we're going to do something called Website Wednesdays, 2-Minute Tuesdays, where we're posting videos about how to learn something new in terms of fitness and business development. So we're focusing on learning, teaching new things. That's the main focus. It's hopefully we're doing less waffle this time. Less talk about Everton Football Club and Man United and random stuff we've watched on TV. But we're focusing on pure content. And that's the thing. It's how can we help educate people and share some of our best content to you guys? And that's our focus.
Fantastic. That is it for today. Please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. If you want to find out what's holding you back from growing your fitness business, go to strengthmatters.com/quiz.